A rare total solar eclipse happened in our area today. Thanks for staying with us here at 6. I'm Hayden Rostevsky.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. Millions watched the sky as the moon blocked out the sun. WDRB's Marc Weinberg, Hannah Strong, and Dalton Godbey in one of the best spots to see the eclipse. We're jealous, guys.
I mean, you know, Hannah, this is something you and I talked about a lot, but we knew there'd be high clouds. One of the kind of questions is how transparent those would be when we got into totality. Completely and totally irrelevant. And you felt it. I mean, when we started to get towards totality, Hannah, that was one of the things that you really had hoped. And the crowd's response was incredible.
I loved experiencing this with a group of people. I mean, each of us had different moments with different individual people in the crowd. Strangers, though. I mean, look at this shot. Marc and I in the front experiencing the eclipse. A huge group of people. Just, I was saying to them, like, it felt like we were celebrating together. Like, we were out here for this big old party, all experiencing something really cool and really exciting together. And that's what played out. That's what it felt like up here. And Dalton, you really got to be out with the people today. What was your experience?
I felt like I was at like a high school basketball game or something.
And there's some of the images, by the way. That this was the drone shot of the 360-degree sunset. This was from the Louisville Astronomical Society, the LAS telescopes, and you can really clearly see the corona of the sun. What is that? That's the atmosphere of the sun. You want to know how warm that is? 2 million degrees.
That's why I said I didn't want to know.
Well, they did. They told me they wanted to know. You got a little red out today, but you know, how did you?
You did too.
So did
I really
Marc.
did. Look, so you can see that.
Old redneck Weinberg.
So it didn't work out so great. Dalton, this was your first experience of a total solar eclipse, and you got a chance to spend some time in the crowd.
Yeah, and like I said, it felt like I was at a basketball game or something. As soon as we went into totality, the roars from the crowd. But I thought it was cool how right after that, everything was silent. Like people were just locked in and reminiscing and reflecting and taking in what we all saw. And I thought that was one of the most special moments about everything that happened here in this field that we're sitting in. When we were talking about how dark it got, something that I noticed that I didn't notice in 2017 was the horizon and this orange color that painted the horizon. Explain why that happens.
So that's what we call the 360 sunset. And that's something that is really cool. And it's because obviously, as you can imagine, the shadow of the sun is being cast on the earth by the moon. It's circular. So when you're in that shadow, everywhere you look around you is a sunset. I mean, there's so many things that you experience in this that you can't really explain. Like, we've talked about this for 7 years. And, you know, Dalton, you experienced almost. And I think that everybody would say now, after experiencing this, almost is not enough.
No, it's
totality
absolutely
is a different animal.
It's absolutely not enough. You guys told me that. So many people told me 99 versus 100 is a lot different than 1 little percent. That makes the world of a difference, and it truly did. And I think that people saw that when they watched it, and it made them emotional. It's just something that you never get to see. I think that's where the emotion comes from.
Yeah, I think Hannah and I are going to say the same thing, but Dalton, your first experience, I mean, I think you captured it earlier. It's hard to put into words.
You can't.
I think you start to feel like a piece of sand on a seashore.
You do. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. You feel so small, and you never see the outside world around you with that perspective. But that kind of forces you to, right?
Right.
And that's what makes people so emotional. I talked to a guy earlier. We both watched it and experienced it together. Both of us, not huge criers, but we got a little emotional. We'll let you see that moment.
I felt like we were so small in the great universe, whatever. And I heard you talking. I'm like you. There is a God, and that was really amazing.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
It was.
I looked up there and I thought, there's so much that has to go right and has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And we just saw it happen.
Yeah, and that's not by chance. That's not by chance.
It is not by chance, is it?
That's something that really early on when we started this eclipse planning, Marc said something to me. I was doing an interview with him, and he said something like, you know, if the sun was just a little bit smaller, if the moon was just a little bit bigger, if the Earth was just a little bit farther away, none of this happens. And so, those of us who are religious are having some sort of religious experience out here. You really understand your place in the universe, and those who are not are feeling something, a little bit bigger going on.
And number one, we want to thank you guys. We got an opportunity to do a job that was a blessing for each of us. We got to talk about a total solar eclipse. Thank you for coming along on the ride with us. For Dalton Godbey and Hannah Strong, I'm meteorologist Marc Weinberg from Seymour, Indiana. Total solar eclipse 2024.